And now there's a lot of fear. Either they're afraid of the virus, or they're afraid of the vaccine, or they're afraid of, the new things that we think could be implemented upon our society. I'm just wondering if you're also seeing sort of maybe an uptick in people that are feeling more anxiety these days.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Certainly through the pandemic, all mood problems got worse because of the uncertainty, and it was new, and no one had ever faced this before. And so, I mean, it was just a new stress that no one had faced in our generation. And so, any kind of stress like that will magnify, particularly pre-existing weaknesses that we had. So, what may have been a mild depression or a mild anxiety really was magnified and then became a clinical disorder that needed treatment. But really, the message that you and I are explaining is there's hope. And that, especially if you have a faith and you're walking with God, the whole message of Christianity is hope. And so, all I've done is I've just systematized the steps to actually use hope to walk to a level of freedom that I mean, I never even knew that was possible. I mean, I was an anesthetist. I had no idea that you could actually have that level of mental and emotional freedom. But it was because I had to walk through it with my wife to heal our marriage. That's why we describe it to people, because it was such a surprise to me, and I'd been a Christian my whole life. So that's why we want to share that experience, that hope is available, and it's God's gift to us.
So I guess if you're saying somebody's struggling in their marriage right now, what you're saying is that is not the end, and people can actually receive the tools and skill sets to turn it around and to figure out sort of how they're miscommunicating, or bring some really good, you know, systems into place. And actually, if you run your marriage a little bit like a business, and you have business meetings, and you have meetings where you connect every day, and you try to talk about the important things. Sometimes my husband and I, like, it's like, okay, well, this is our financial business meeting, so we're going to talk about finances right now, and where everything is and how we feel about that. And then sometimes it's just a nice night to have out, and then we don't want to talk about the money, because that could put us in a real bad mood. So it's to talk about our feelings and where we are and how our connection is. And when you begin to have systems in place, that you'll do, it is very helpful.
Well, we actually have a marriage retreat that we do every year at a Caribbean resort, just so that people can get away into a wonderful location. And we apply all the principles of free mind and emotionally free to relationships, because the key to a healed marriage is healing of the heart of both spouses.
Wow, that sounds fun. I really like that Caribbean thing. And we all have to be able to, do a little bit of traveling, because we've been told that maybe we shouldn't be traveling. So that would be really lovely. Uh, One thing that I'd like to ask you before you go is, do you believe that a lot of damage is happening through the almost the ADD that we're getting with all the devices in our lives? It was bad enough, I guess, when we had the television that would steal our time, but now, we've got one or two phones going. We've got our laptops. We've got things dinging and letting us know that we've got messages, and we all get a little sidetracked. Not to mention social media. Want to check out how many people are following us, or if everybody liked our post. And it does seem to be like scattering our brains. What do you think about that?
Well, actually, the evidence that has actually been in the press very recently is that the social media, so the Instagram was the one that was mentioned, in young adults is actually causing mental health problems like depression and anxiety, because of fear of missing out and comparing themselves to the idealized lives that they see depicted online. That everyone portrays this, their perfect life, and then just to make everyone else jealous. And so there's actually statistical medical evidence that in young adults particularly, social media has significantly increased depression and anxiety in that age group. So we actually have proof that social media is damaging the mental health of young adults particularly.
Well, I'm really glad for you to know about that, because that's my greatest concern. Is I have to fight it in my own um, being being an online presenter and being on social media and that being part of my work, that there's times where I just say that, like, for this next 2 hours, I'm not looking at the phone. It is really hard, especially if I don't turn the notifications off. But I think all of us have to make very, very wise decisions because our brains are just being, rerouted in a certain way. And we do feel a lot of pressure to live up to everybody else when, yeah, go ahead.
Also too, when you look at something that I'm not as good as my expectation. What happens is that your emotional baggage from your childhood would come back to say, well, you really are a failure, and you really are a loser, and you're never going to amount to anything. And remember what they said about you, and remember when you did poorly at school, and remember what that teacher said to you. So that when we're on social media and looking at our stats, like you were saying, it can trigger our baggage from the past to shrink our self-confidence, self-esteem, self-image, self-worth. So those statistics they carry emotional voltage more than just a number. It's what it means to you and how it reflects on your baggage. So that's really in my turf, because our course is to try to heal your heart from the past so that the things in front of you don't trigger you.
Wow. Dr. Mullen, how important is what we say to ourselves? We've got those negative thoughts going on. How do we stop those thoughts and really bring ourselves into alignment with what the Word of God says about us, or how Jesus sees us? Because it's really a battle. It's a real big battle in everybody's mind.
Absolutely. In fact, someone has actually studied how often you talk to yourself and what is the general tone, and it's overwhelmingly negative for everybody. So most people are constantly putting themselves down, and you can bet that the enemy of our souls is very active to keep those lies and put downs constant. And so of course the treatment for that is, one, get control of your thoughts, because if you have depression or anxiety, then it's going to be very difficult for you to shut those bad thoughts off. And then the second step is, if you have your heart healed of all the wounds of the past, you won't be triggered. In fact, one of the people say, how do I know if I have emotional baggage? Well, it's really simple. Do you ever overreact to anything or underreact when you should be reacting? Those are the signs that emotional baggage is present and active. And so to overcome this constant barrage of negative self-talk, we need to also understand the truth of who Jesus says we are. If we could start seeing ourselves the way Jesus sees us and how much he loves us, how much he values us, he doesn't want us to be listening to all this negative self-talk and all these lies and condemning thoughts. He wants us to be free of that. The problem is, as long as we have baggage, the baggage will outshout the voice of the Spirit telling us all these positive things. So the more our heart is healed and our mind is clear, the easier it is to hear the truth that Jesus is always trying to tell us.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a battle for every single one of us. And we all face that. So, Emotionally Free, that's a great book. Can people order it today? Would they go to your website, or do you go to Amazon, or how do you get your book?
Yeah, just go straight to my website, drgrantmullen.com. We have loads of free information there on mental health, self-assessments. We've got all kinds of resources. And if they want to join our online program, they just click on Free Your Mind.
Okay, that is fantastic. Thank you so much. And blessings on you and what you're doing and helping to set people free. It really is a great thing, and we appreciate it so much. Have a great day, Dr. Mullen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Be blessed.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.